Wait. Snowfall. Welcome to Monday, December 3rd. We are finally into December. Those of you at home, you can still bring in caps. There's a novel quiz coming up on Wednesday. If you are reading Shadow Club, you have to get to page 74. If you're reading Outsider, you have to get to page 67, which is the end of chapter 4. And then tomorrow, you're going to have a chance to either work on reading your novel or work on the book report. But I'll give you guys time to work tomorrow. Maybe a little bit of talking about stuff in the book. And then if you're wanting to turn your book report in early, that's going to come in on Friday. Then those of you at home, you will get a chance to play our fun activities all by yourself. The way it's going to work is, one, you're going to have to log into Socrative, and I will activate it and leave it open for you guys tonight. Which means on the off chance that you were to, say, leave your iPad at home today, you could probably do this at home tonight and then not have to get yelled at and in trouble tomorrow if it could be any random person we're just saying. For those of you who are already at home, you can log in and play the same game. So you'll log into Socrative, Kyvor, last name, first name, we'll go from there. When you get into Socrative, you're going to find it has these things. And so these will be the questions you're going to respond to. To get us ready for iLearn, I figure we'll do a little practice having you read an article and then responding to it. We'll do a little responding thing first. 5, we can't respond to until we get to the article. Here are the things you're going to give me your opinion on. 1, what is your definition of bullying? As in, how do you define it? How do you see it? And stuff like that. I don't really care what the school's not cool. What the school tells you, I want to know what you think. 2, if we have a situation where a kid gets bullied and the kid fights back, but in the process of fighting back, his bully gets either killed or paralyzed or permanently injured, what should happen to the kid who did that? So that's what we're going to get into with our discussion too. 3, how would it be possible for someone weaker to bully someone stronger? And you can define weaker as either being smaller or less popular, or however you want to go through and do it. 4, have you ever witnessed bullying between a student and a teacher? If so, how did it happen? Either the teacher bullying the student or the student bullying the teacher. And this goes back to number 1, and how do you define bullying? And then 5, which we'll get to in a moment, how does our article we're getting ready to read connect to our novel that we're reading right now? So we're going to see what kind of connection we have. Once we read the article, then you're going to get a chance to do that. All right. We're going to come back to the answering of the questions here in a moment. What we can do is, 1, those of you at home, you're going to pause here for a moment, go pausey, and then do that. We don't confuse you. We're going to do the article, which is end up throwing you off, and then come back and join us. So now for the rest of you, we're going to button over to my website. So do not submit Socrative and don't swipe out Socrative, because that would be bad, because you have to go back and retype everything through your pile of tears. We all splash. But if you go over to my website and you go to the Outsiders and you scroll part way down, you're going to find a thing that says the non-fiction article bully, or non-fiction bully article. Or if you're missing something like an iPad, you're going to give me a shoe, and then I'm going to give you a paper version of it, which is like an iPad, but different.
Ooh, this is not.
It's like an iPad made out of trees.
That's like advanced.
Or tree guts. Huh.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Landed it.
So then I'll leave that up here for a moment. We're going to go through. You should have one that should say something about a dude named Casey Haynes. That should tell you that you're on the correct one. And I'm going to have you read it there. Eventually, we're going to get to the part where you guys have to go through and do all the reading on your own and stuff like that, but we're not there yet. For this one, I will read with you. But I figure on this first one, we'll sort of practice not having you die too much. Has anyone not found article? We're good to go. All right. So the one here says, Casey Haynes, teen who attacked bully in YouTube video, says he just snapped.
So confused.
An Australian teen dubbed The Punisher, who became a YouTube star after viciously lashing out at a bully, said he snapped after years of being picked on. The moment 10th grader Casey Haynes explodes on a pint-sized kid who punched him several times is as frightening as it is impressive. So when we get into it, Casey Haynes is going to be the kid that's getting bullied. He's a 16-year-old and he's a sophomore, so in 10th grade essentially. But it's in Australia, and their schooling is a little bit different. Like they call their high schools colleges, and they call their elementary schools primary schools. So in a moment, like he goes to like college, they'll be like, Mr. Brovicast, was he a genius? He was not. It's just how their schools are set up. I actually snapped and grabbed him and picked him up off the ground and threw him to the ground in self-defense. the 16-year-old told Australia's A Current Affair in an interview that aired Sunday. I wasn't really thinking. I was just like, yay, finally it's over, he said of the experience. I was scared. The 40-second video captured the incident last week at Chifley College in St. Mary's North near Sydney. It was posted to YouTube and instantly scored thousands of views. The spiny-legged 7th grader, identified as Richard Gale, does his best Rocky Balboa dance as he pops Haynes in the face with a right cross, the video shows. The boy attempts to hit him a few more times, but his much bigger victim slaps his fists away. Did you pick up who his bully is?
A 7th grader.
A 7th grader.
Yes.
Which we're going to get to in a moment. First, we're going to find out that Casey Haynes, 16-year-old 10th grader, is getting beat up by a 7th grader who is 13 years old. And about half his size. So
you got to do.
Keep that in mind as we're getting into it. So it's the fact that he is a much younger kid doing the bullying. Then, with sudden fury and speed, Haynes is seen grabbing Gale, lifting him, then body slamming him to the cement. The young bully is then seen standing up and limping away. He suffered only a scratch on his knee. Haynes said he never fought back before and wasn't planning to this time, but the anger just built up. Haynes said Gale and his friends began teasing him 2 weeks prior to the fight, but said he's been bullied for years. He once had friends, but they all ditched him because of the teasing. The bullies called me fatty. They would also slap me on the back of the head, trip me, throw water bombs at me. It was practically every day. They once even duct taped him to a pole. Haynes said he was lonely. Now, a couple things here. One, Richard Gale, the kid that's having the issue here, is not the one that did all that stuff to him. Richard is just the most recent bully. We're going to find out that Casey is a kid that's been bullied for a long time, to the point where his friends left him and he was sort of on his own and isolated. And then Richard was just the most recent kid that stepped in and started bullying him. But this is a thing that he's been experiencing for a long time. Haynes said he was lonely, and after his friends abandoned him, he was an easy target. The teen also admitted he considered suicide. I just started to put myself down, and then all the crap just kept piling on. I didn't realize how much trouble he was actually in until I saw that video, Haynes' father, Colin, told A Current Affair. And he said, well, that goes on every day, Dad. Haynes and Gale have both been suspended because of their school's zero-tolerance policy regarding fighting. The teen doesn't regret lashing out at the bully, even though he admits he could have seriously hurt the younger boy. I just wanted it to stop. While many are praising Haynes, his father fears the fight video will only invite more bullies to target his son. There will be reprisals from other kids in the school, and he still has to go to school somewhere, he said. He's not a violent kid. It's the first time he's lashed out, and I don't want him to be victimized over that. Real quick, your ability to figure things out. In that second to last paragraph, it uses the word reprisals. Can you figure out what a reprisal would be? Close, but not quite. Not just that, but not a bad guess. Nate?
Repercussions?
What are repercussions?
Kind of like the effect and cause and effect.
Not bad. And so that's what the dad's worried about, because now that kids have seen that he can get in a fight, it's much like Billy the Kid in the West. Once everyone saw him, like, oh, you're the best gunfighter in the West? Let's see how good you are. And so Billy the Kid ended up getting into a whole bunch of gunfights he didn't want to do, because people kept picking fights with him thinking that he was good at gunfighting. And he was, and they would die. And so the problem here is Casey's like, well, all these kids are like, oh, you can fight? Well, then let's see how good of a fighter you are. And his dad's like, I don't want him to keep getting into fights. And that's where the worry comes in. John? Getting ready to. And so I have the video that connects along with it, because it's going to connect to our discussion that we're getting ready to have here in a moment. So now that we have
I'm so excited.
read the article, as we go through into this next part, you can now begin to answer number 5. Although we'll give you more information to go along with it, especially once you see the video. If you've not gotten much farther in our Outsiders book, or with our novel in general, then you're going to have to just guess, and that's fine. You're going to do your own estimation of how you think they connect.
Wait, so the kid that was getting bullied didn't get punished for...
He did. He got suspended.
They both got punished equally.
Holy crap. Oh crap.
I missed it.
Alright, I'm gonna have you get the lights.
Why would they film this?
Why is it so fun?
Show it to you twice. So you have one time to be the first time going through, and the second time you have some idea of what to expect. And the third time, I'm going to pause it because there's a certain part we're going to get to that's going to connect to number 2 on the questions, and we're going to talk about it from there. It is being filmed by one of Richard's friends, and you are going to hear Richard's friend commentate the entire thing. And so have some idea.
I
So
like
this
this
would
friend.
be 2 7th graders. Richard is the kid who's going to step up right here in a moment. The one on the right is Casey.
Wait, how did they see each other? They don't go to the same school.
I might. This is so stupid.
That's Casey. That's Richard.
Richard goes. Well, this is getting sad, bro. You guys just keep recording. Keep recording. Look at that. Who's that in the background?
That's not even like paint. Oh my god! No, stage!
Scratch on his leg.
Or I don't get to show you things in the future if you can't handle it now. So I'm going to show it to you again, so now that you know what to expect when you see it coming.
I'm glad you didn't get that. Why did you just let him come out first?
Richard goes. Well, this is getting sad, bro. You guys just keep recording. Keep recording. Look at that. Who's that in the background?
That looks so painful! How is he not dead?
What just happened?
Yeah, he's more than scratchy. I'm pretty sure he's hurt.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he's hurt.
He just like.
If I could see the kid's face that was bullying him,
So-
I would think he-
In the article, Casey says that he just reacted and was not thinking things through when it happened. He was just tired of being attacked. And when he threw the kid down, he threw Richard down to the ground. Richard was not permanently injured. He came around basically with scars on his leg and some bruising, but that was about it. And even from that, it only really happened because of what his leg hit. And what his leg hit,
Cement.
so you have that little, it's like a little raised garden
Ow,
off to the
ow,
side.
ow, ow.
Now, here's where the problem comes in. Because of that, they were both punished equally. The fact they got into a fight. Here's where my question comes in. When Casey fights back and throws Richard down to the ground, he says he's not really thinking. He just sort of throws him. And so it happened to be his left arm that comes down first, which means his leg is the thing that hits that little stone thing. If he'd not been thinking and he brought his right arm down first, it would not have been Richard's leg that hit that cement area. What would have hit it?
Face.
And the result would not have been the same at all. So here's where my question comes in. If that had happened, and Casey had fought back, and we instead have a video of the kid walking away, we have a video of the kid just laying there afterwards.
Oh.
Should Casey be punished for that?
Not really.
So now, we come back to number 2 up there. If a bully victim fights back and paralyzes, and so here, because I don't know if his head were to hit, if that would paralyze him or kill him, but I've got a feeling he's not going to get up and just limp away from it. If that were to happen, by a show, we'll do a show of hands first, I'll take your ideas. If you say yes, Casey should be prosecuted by the law for that, raise your hand and say yes.
I don't want to vote.
All right.
Because I'm like, maybe. I
Those of
don't
you who
know.
say he should not be prosecuted at all for that, raise your hand.
Wait, there's a third option.
Well, I guess the third option is why not? Or what is your thinking then?
Why not?
Oh, okay.
Weber?
Oh, well, like, unless the bully is, like, physically, like, hurting him,
and
Well, he
just
did let.
does
I mean,
that,
the
like,
bully punched him multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for that, I don't think he should be prosecuted.
Why?
Because like it's self-defense. He's physically attacking you and abusing you. You're allowed to fight back. But if he's just like calling you names and you just snap and like throw him on the ground like that, like,
So you're saying the difference there is the fact that physical contact is made.
ugly.
yeah.
All right. By the way, as we're talking, if you've not done 5, make sure you get 5 done before we end up having to leave. Emerson?
Oh, okay, so one, he's not like an actual like adult, like, so it shouldn't be fair for him to really like prosecute, like.
Now, technically, 16, you sometimes can be prosecuted. Now, technically, 18 is the limit.
Yeah.
But like with school shootings, if a shooter is 16, they can ask for the adult penalties for it. And so if he was 16 and did this to a 13-year-old, that is something they could request. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but... Maul?
Nothing should happen to him. It was self-defense. Like, if you're going to fight and you're just getting beat up and, like, you can fight back but you don't, that's just stupid.
So you're saying even though he did that and the kid died from it, you're saying nothing should happen to him?
Well, no,
He
he
still
didn't
died.
Like, you don't get to yell.
Yeah.
That's John's job. John.
So, I think, so if he died, then he should be at least punished a little bit. But it was instinctive, and he, like, wasn't, he said he wasn't thinking straight. He just did it.
Now, to give you a bit more information, because you can go on YouTube and they have interviews, because this became a whole big thing, and they interviewed him on TV and stuff like that, we find out that Richard had only been harassing him for like the last 2 weeks. And Richard only did it because other kids were bullying him. And so Richard got tired of getting beat up by other kids. We figured the only way to stop kids from beating him up was to pick a fight with another kid. And it unfortunately worked. The more he attacked Casey, the more other kids left him alone, which is why Richard kept doing it. I don't know if that impacts your decision, but that was information that came out afterwards. Kevin?
I think that he should, if he killed the person, then that I think would be, he wasn't thinking, but he was thinking on like, okay, I don't want to kill him, I just want to not, like, I just want to injure him a little bit, because that might be why he put his left arm down first, to hit his leg.
Ooh, quick vote thing real quick. Let's say Casey had a weapon with him when this happened, and he got punched twice, and then pulled out something and hurt the person that way. Would you say he should be punished again?
Yes.
Yeah, bring it
Even though it's the
weapon
same
property.
thing, he gets punched twice, and instead of picking something up, he pulls out
A butterfly knife.
I was going to say a pair of scissors or something like that.
Like,
Once I will leave it open for another couple minutes, but I have to close it for 4th period.
Bye.
Once you're done, submit what you have, and
We leave.
we are good. And then I'm done with you till tomorrow.
I finished.
Congratulations, you have now